Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful, I would like at the outset thank Dr. Abla for this beautiful seminar and meeting that includes all the partners, and I hope that by the end we have recommendations and outcomes that pushes the handicrafts forward in Egypt. Now the fourth and last session that tackles the designing processes, the problems and the roles that have to be played by the supporting entities. We are honored to have Ms. Shahira Mehrez, a researcher, and she's the head of the Shahira Mehrez Exhibition for Egyptian fashion, and Eisha Design House. And Nahla Soliman, she's executive director of Nahla Soliman for designs, and Mr. Haytham Hadid, the designer and executive director of Arket Wood. Designing processes, of course, have so many definitions, but simply speaking, it's a creative process based on which human beings find a new thing. And it's divided into a creative process and executive process. I'm not talking about production, but at least I'm talking about the prototype for my design. In the handicrafts field, are we capable of saying that we need a design? Do we have a design, or are we only linked to the heritage of the country, whether we are in Egypt or any other country? We produce the products according to our heritage, or do we need a design? Is it only about heritage, or as Miss Dunya has said, do we need to change it, to develop it, to not to make it that tradition, to make it different so that it fits outside and abroad, not only to put our decoration aspects based on the heritage, and that's it. So we need to know your viewpoints and what are the problems that you identify with respect to the designing processes. We're going to start with Ms. Shahira Mehrez. You have the floor. Please, 10 minutes for each speaker so that we finish this session on time. At the beginning, I would like to thank Dr. Abla and the Egyptian Center for Economic Studies for the interest in handicrafts. But what matters the most are the traditional crafts that are about to be extinct. Especially in this field, we have a big diversity. So I'm going to focus on a case that has to do with sculpture in Luxor, that has to do with the pharaonic style. And we all know that the source of attraction of tourism to Egypt is based on our pharaonic heritage. And those tourists who come to Egypt, they rarely find the souvenirs that are inspired from the heritage with high quality. And a French ambassador as well said that he is surprised when he goes to Luxor because the products are very bad and they are made in China and of low quality. So of course this is a problem because we are one of the oldest countries and we have monuments, and I'm going to tackle the products that suffered from deterioration throughout the past 40 years. This piece I bought from Luxor 40 years ago from a street in Luxor, and see now the difference between the artistic aspects, even between the two pieces, and the artistic details with respect to the sculpture and the and when we go to Luxor, we find out that there's something. Sometimes it's a god, other times it's a queen, but they are all of low quality, and they are the same products in all the shops. So there is no diversity, there is no creativity, and this makes the tourist feel that it's factory made, and it's made of cement. So, and this, of course, uh, deteriorates the artistic value of it. If you want to search or study the aspect, you're going to find out that we have unique stuff because the pharaonic style, it has authenticity and simplicity that was discovered by the Western in the 20th century. So it has the stylization, and I have chosen here some models of the Egyptian Museum. Some of them are birds. This is the pharaonic pattern that is extracted from Tutankhamun treasures. It's another model. It's a duck in a plate, and it's very nice and small, and it can attract tourists. These other models. Horus, God, in small size, and it's very beautiful, and it's easy to be replicated. At the same time, it has the stylization and the simplicity of the new lines. So a product like this, it's very easy to be marketed because it revives or resuscitates something that's known and studied, and it's going to attract tourists. And at the same time, it matches modernization, and all these things that I've selected are inspired from the Tutankhamun treasures, and these are toys when he was young. So we can tell a story against these pieces. You can give your kids a gift that's similar to the toys of the Egyptian king Tutankhamun. So the marketing is going to be easy. Museums have pottery, crafts, modernization. If you talk about modernization, all the Egyptian museums that have a collection, pharaonic, Islamic, Coptic, they have the minimalism of modernization. So at the beginning, we can imitate these patterns, and they are very attractive to the tourists because they are authentic. And at the same time, they are monumental. These are pottery from the Egyptian Museum. This product that could be marketed not only on the touristic level, but it can be exported to all the international museums who exhibit pieces that are inspired from the Egyptian heritage, and they are manufactured by factories and not handicrafted. So if we encourage the Luxorian artisans to produce better, to have better products, we can market this locally and export them even. And a few years later, Lafayette is one of the big shops in Paris, and Harrods as well. They started to search in Egypt for things or products that can attract the English or French community with the Egyptian aspects or characteristics, but they did not find enough products to have a department specialized on them in their shops. But I think that there are so many workshops in Luxor in which we can train people to have a diverse and high quality product. And there are thousands of models, not only those who have that I have showed you. There's a Louvre, who is a wooden product that it is imitating the treasures of Tutankhamun. It's going to be a handicraft, and it's going to be supported by the customs and going to be supported by the community members. And it can take, for example, a stamp from the Ministry of Antiquities of Egypt to show that this product is of high quality. It has cultural background and value. So we have the value of the piece itself and the cultural value. This is what I wanted to say. With respect to the workshops of Luxor, but how to implement it, the artistic level to study all the products that we can develop. And the second thing is that we contact all the workshops and ask them about their readiness to participate in this experience, and then have a foreign marketing expert. I disagree with this because they do not know our heritage and they cannot find beautiful patterns. But with respect to marketing, they can assist us to tell us about the required sizes, the required colors, and some aspects that can increase the attractiveness of the products and whether they can market them or not. With respect to funding, if this product is a fair trade project, from the producer to the marketeer. I'm sorry, Dr. Gazar. I have a problem with the exportation and the expenses, but if we do this, we can depend on the development institutions that pay a lot to develop the crafts, but they develop crafts that are lacking markets. These products, the handicrafts, have markets, and the European shops sell everything that's inspired by the pharaonic style with high prices. Also, we can ask the Ministry of Tourism to integrate this in its promotional campaign so that the first production is funded by the Ministry, for example, of Tourism, has fairs in all the capitals with the name of Eternal Egypt and its craftsmen, because the tourism is not only based on monuments but on the communication between the different populations. So tourism might include going or having a tour in workshops. Another thing, we have the Ministry of Culture in all the European capitals and maybe in the USA, in important towns. It has cultural centers. I'm sorry to say that they do not serve anybody. So we can ask it to have a wing for the Egyptian handicrafts that are mentioned in the 5th trade. And as you have mentioned, I have an experience with our French ambassador in France. Egyptian ambassador in France. They were exhibiting Egyptian products in the embassy, and it was attended by VIPs in France, including Farah Diba. Another thing, we can ask Egypt Air to have a pamphlet that explains the venues of these workshops. What are the places that can be visited by the tourists in order for them to buy such products, to avoid exploitation and of the tourists. And at the same time, as my colleagues have said, it's important for the museums to have a department for these products, handicrafts. And I think if we do this, we're going to save the artisans of Luxor, because Luxor has always been an attraction for tourism. And that's why I hope you implement this project, and thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Shahira, for your presentation and for your recommendations. Ms. Shaymaa from Eisha Design. Good afternoon. I am Shaymaa Beshary. I am an architect. I'm a graduate from the faculty, from the University of Alexandria, and have been working in the architecture, and I decided to have a different line on designs after 2011, when I started to notice that there are so many pieces of furniture that are exported, that are imported with, and they are of high prices and they do not have any value. We have strong heritage based on which we can have strong brands, and we can have products that are based on our heritage. What matters is the design. I started to work on Nubia. I'm from Nubia, basically. So I started to study the motifs, the components, the installations, and how we can compose new components so that when we have so that in our homes we have Egyptian style furniture. The salon, we have to be proud of the fact that it's Egyptian, it's well made, and it reflects us as Egyptians. And these lines, I hope that we export them outside, but my target basically was to reflect our identity through our furniture. That we do not have to imitate the French, the British styles, and neglect our rich styles. When I started to work on the Nubian motifs, I found out that they are all meaningful. They all call upon love, peace, good. Nubians are the Egyptian group that love to live, desire to be happy. Despite the fact that they are living in hard conditions, all the time they are satisfied, they are happy, they sing. And I think that we might be in need more than them of happiness. And that's why I started to work on products. Each one of these products has its own design story. This is something that we are lacking in general. How to have a product with a story for those who love identity, art, and heritage can enjoy these stories. And this is what I started to do. I started to have my products. Each product, it has a name. Each name has its own story. Maybe one day this story might be one of ours. In summary, I'm going to show you quickly a model of such models. This is a table, it's called Daria. And this is another product called Gurranda. Gurranda in Nubian means the feast or happiness or joy, and that's why the motifs on the product calls upon happiness and joy. And these are the motifs that are drawn by the Nubians at home when they have a wedding or something to celebrate. This is another type of the products or the implementation. What I mean is that we work on something that's based on the heritage, but it's modern, with the colors, with the lines, with everything, so that all the time it's easy to have in our homes, to have it as a corner in the homes of our children. See the fact that we can adopt it or integrate it into our culture and our belonging, sense of belonging to our heritage. I'm not going to talk more than that, but I think that the idea or the message is delivered, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shaymaa, for your very nice products and how you link your product with the Nubian heritage. It was a very good presentation. Thank you very much, Mrs. Nahla Soliman. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I don't know what to say. so you all know these problems that we are facing. You all know all the solutions. So why we don't see any change in the field? Maybe today I'm a little bit optimistic because I have two entities that I wished a long time ago to cooperate together. The council, which is considered to be the godfather of our sector, and the industrial modernization institution. So I am very optimistic that this event will end up with positive recommendations. My name is Nahla. I'm graduated from the Faculty of Law, Cairo University. I worked in the field of textile and fashion. A long time ago, I love handicrafts and anything which is related to the handmade. So this helped me to continue in this field. I was not able to work a lot in the field of law and to be a lawyer, but once I entered the field of fashion, first of all, I was a volunteer in an NGO to train people on specific handicrafts. At that period of time, I discovered that I have a huge passion for everything which is handmade, from our history, from our culture, from our heritage. I found that we have a very rich culture, a very rich heritage, and how the tourists, they are just amazed and they love our designs. And the word that was said by the Italian designer said that the handmade artifacts in Egypt cannot be replicated in Italy, and this is actually true. And we can do more. I launched my brand in 2006. I worked outsourcing, and actually this was one of the problems that faced me, because me as a designer, when I deal with a workshop, the artisan, the owner of the workshop, consider himself the owner of the idea. This did not continue for a long period of time. I opened my workshop, and we are now about to in negotiation with Zara Home to work with Zara Home. Design is considered to be the most important element in the product, and unfortunately the least element that is focused on. The designer is the one that is working by his hand. He's responsible for marketing his product and his work. He is responsible for searching for the new materials and for the raw materials and for the new trend in his work. For sure, this will not give him an opportunity to have enough time for his main job, which is designing. Then at the end, because we don't have copyrights for the designer, that someone can take the final design, the final photo of the design, and will do it with a very cheap and very low quality raw material, and will sell it cheaper than the original design. This actually make the people lose the trust, and actually will make the people cannot be able to differentiate between the original and the low quality product. I think this is one of the points that we need to work on it, how we can protect the rights of the designers and to give him an opportunity to work. The idea that was told by Mr. Haytham, the golden pyramid, the artisan, the trader, and the designer, we don't have a clear limit between each category. So I hope that we can do something. Me, I need to I need to be devoted to my workshop, the best time of my life. Me in the workshop, playing with the threads, playing with the cloth. I have lots of ideas that I can have new designs, but unfortunately I don't have such opportunity. I am committed to produce a product and sell it in order to gain money and to pay the rent of the workshop and pay the artisans. And at the same time, I have to follow up the artisans. I have to supervise the artisans. We need something to protect the owner of the workshop. For example, the reliefs for the feast can extend for like 3 weeks, not only a couple of days. So I don't want to be lengthy. We work on different points, and we have the desire and the will to even work more. Our product are of high quality. I do a double and a triple check. And this what makes our project reach the heart of the clients. So I wish that the state or the government help us and support us to protect our rights against the artisans, to help us to open new workshops. I'm trying now to find a place in the industrial zone, and unfortunately it is not available because there are the problems that we talked about. When I tried to get support or to get a bank fund, the maximum that I was able to get was like 40,000 Egyptian pounds. The 40,000 Egyptian pounds is considered to be the expenses of the workshop in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I have the desire, I have the passion, I have the will, but I don't know for how long it will exist. The sector of the handicraft is very huge, and actually we cannot deal with this sector as if it is one sector. There is, it is okay for someone that he can attend an open day in a sporting club or to conduct or to do an open day, and there is people that it's better for them to attend or to contribute in international fairs or exhibitions. The artisan or the owner of the product, if he traveled abroad and he doesn't know anything about the standards, it means that it's going to be shameful. It's going to be very bad, and we've seen this before. When he sells a product, it means he is selling the name of Egypt, so he should implement the standards. I saw a very nice experience in Kenya. There is a group of people in Kenya, simple people. The state provide them a market in different places, like in a shopping mall, in an open area, without any costs. The artisan is only responsible for displaying his products, and he's selling the products. They are happy, and the state is happy. So I think this is small things, and this is small steps. If the state or the government put it in their consideration, sorry, Creative Egypt, I benefit from Creative Egypt. Before launching the Creative Egypt, I was thinking of switching and to close my workshop, but actually I benefit a lot from them. We need more branches. Oh, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for giving me your time, and thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Nahla. Mr. Haytham Abou Hadid. I agree with Mrs. Shahira. If we are going to do a replica for the Pharaonic or the Islamic products, if you are going to do a replica, we are going to do it as it is. I'm going to talk with a different approach. I will say that not all the clients like to have an antique in his home. I'm going to talk how to scale up the clients to work, for example, on that the product to be contemporary, more contemporary, but has an Egyptian identity or an Egyptian story. So at the end, it tells a story about Egypt, to do a kind of abstraction and to use materials that has history. We had an experience in alabaster. There were a study that these people in Luxor, that they work in the alabaster, they only work in the season of the tourism. So we thought about doing something temporary to sell this product in Europe. We worked on this issue. How can we do the design? Can we like draw a sketch and that's it? No. The process now is different. We are talking about the design. we should study the design, and there is something what is called the design brief. It's a kind of market study to study where I'm going to export to North Europe. What is the colors that they are preferred in North Europe? The gray color, the pastel color, according to the market, the target groups. Do I target grade A class or B class, whatever? And according to this, the pricing, as Mrs. Azza Fahmi said, where would you like to put yourself? Are you going to sell in the niche market, or you're going to sell something to the B class? What do you want? And according to this, set the design. Again, the social media platforms, the Facebook, the Instagram, and all the resources of the internet that people now, they are all on the social media. I have to be aware of the trends to see if there is a repetitive trends. There are trends that they are there for like 5 to 10 years. What are the trends? What are the colors? The fashion trends. And there are something what is called the mega trends, like, for example, focusing on the environment, protecting the environment, and to use natural materials and to be environmentally friendly. And there is another point which is also very important, the production methods. I don't study all my rights, my duties and my rights, and I didn't go to a workshop, and I should know the techniques of the workshops in order to know how he's going to implement this design. I have to achieve what I want, and at the same time I know how to produce the design, how to implement the design with the artisan, with the techniques that he knows how to work with. We can push a little bit the artisan, but not that much. Shall I talk about the problems? Talking about the problems, the artisan or the company that works in the product must have the will that I'm going to do a product with specific specs, to do study, to allow the artisans to travel abroad, to see what are the global trends, to see the people, the Indian people, how do they work, what the techniques that they are adopting, to see what are the techniques that they are adopted in South America. I am not against traditional handicrafts, but I'm talking about updating. I'm talking about modernizing. Because I might work, and then after 5 years I will find myself so that I have no orders at all. So we will be far behind. And this is very, very difficult. There are people that they work. How do they work? That every year he put like 20% of his own products, new products, according to the studies that we talked about before. So after 5 or 6 years, you will see that the products are totally different. In addition, that all of a sudden I have a drop, and then I have a problem, and then I start to think how to solve the problem. It's better to start gradually, to that people start to change in the designs gradually, instead of in like changing the whole collection and adopting a new brand. I'm coming from the furniture department. We talked about this from 2008, 2009. We were exhibiting in Milan, in Italy. They were classic furniture. We were very famous for the Italians. They knew us by being very good at classic furniture. But we found that the trend is different now, that people now, they are not selling, they are not buying classic furniture. They are buying now contemporary and modern furniture. We are talking about this long time ago. After we've been like 15 or 20 companies, last year only one company was in Milan. after Milan being a big market. I'm working now with a company from Damietta that they export to do a new brand from start. We are working on launching a new collection instead of improving or developing annually on the collection. So now we are working on everything from the beginning. Actually, we don't have we lost our place in Italy, so hopefully that this will not happen in the handicrafts. I see that this sector has a great potential. The professional artisans, we have professional artisans, we have history in this field, we have materials that they are not available in any other place in the whole world, like the alabaster, for example. The alabaster is very weird for the European and for the American markets. We have lots of advantages that can help us to improve the sector. The last point, the training concerning the craftsman and the designers. If he anything, okay, maybe at the beginning the craftsman will not accept to get a training course. But I think because if anything, if there is anything new, people are going to resist. But gradually, they are going to accept such kind of training courses in order to be updated and in order to improve their quality. Or the same thing goes to the designers. We have a problem that most of the handicrafts, they are in Upper Egypt, and we have another problem in Cairo and in Upper Egypt. So we need there is an applied art branch in Luxor. We need these people to take very good training courses in order to be aware of the international trends, and this people will be easily for them to move in Upper Egypt and train the others. That's it. The last point. The craftsman at the end, we worked in a project, and hopefully to continue this project, we worked until we reached the level that everything is okay. There is a donor that they are interested in improving the sector. The designers are there. We did the designs, the sketches. So at the end, where is the craftsman? Where is the artisan? He is working on an order, a good order. He's working, no problems at all. But at the end, I'm not free to work on the designs. No, he has to have an idea that I give like 10% of my time in order to do something new. In order not like after 10 years, I will find myself out of business. That's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Haytham. I guess our four panelists have tackled the designing processes and axes, and they focused on the importance of designing process. It's one of the most important components of the handicrafts. Of course, the product is important, everything is important, but if the design is not successful, is not correct, or beautiful, the architectural process is not going to be complete. Reaching out to the artisans, to the designers, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you a small story, a project with the IMC that was in 2010 or 2012. They brought designs from Spain and France, and they went to the workshops with the artisans. One of the workshops in the glass sector worked on the Pyrex glass. It's like these products that are sold in Al Husseini and Khan Al Khalili, the small perfume bottles. And at that time, the tourism was very bad in Egypt, and the products were accumulated in the shops. And the designers started to check how the workers were working, so that they try to improve their production and their methodologies. And the workers at that time were resistant. They tried to make the sizes bigger, to make shapes. At the beginning, they were reluctant to change, but by time, after 1 week or 10 days, the artisans started to have new shapes, and the company started to have another line, to have lamps, and it's one of the biggest companies now. It exports outside Egypt, and before, the designers, they were not producing anything. They were just hoping to sell their products in Khal Halili so that they can make ends meet, but now they are a big company. Thank you so much. And